guys, this is our first official day and I'm so excited you're here, and I just wanted to introduce myself for those of you who are new to the group or may not know me personally, or may know me personally but not know my health or fitness journey. So my name is Kylene, and I have honestly been on a journey for about the past 10 years, but it's really been more drastic in the past 5 and even more so in the past year and a half. Growing up, I struggled with a lot of body image issues, just like any girl. I wanted to be thin, I wanted to be popular, I wanted to be pretty, pretty typical teenage girl stuff. So what was kind of a bummer about that is I went about doing it all the wrong way. I would skip meals as much as I could, and I would sneak out of the house to run around the block, which is so funny to me because my parents are very health conscious. So had I ever explained to them that I wanted to exercise, they may have helped me do it in a much more healthy way. But because it was kind of in an unhealthy manner, I felt like I needed to hide it. So I would run around the block and do things like that. And it was a very restrictive mentality. And as I'm sure many of you can say the same thing, I don't remember all the details of my teenage and young adult life, but I do remember trying out several diets over and over. I remember being with my sister. I don't know if we were traveling or something, and I was trying, I don't know what it is, South Beach or Atkins or whatever it was, where you only eat protein. And so I would then go to McDonald's and I would just get the burger because that makes sense, right? So I did a lot of those things, a lot of the things that you've probably tried. I've been very restrictive. I've done a bunch of different diets. I've had body image issues. I've been through all of those things. When I went to college, I had a lot of emotional roller coaster experiences. Hello freedom, hello boys, hello stress. So I gained a lot of weight in college. And then when I would get really, really stressed out, I would lose like 10 pounds in a week. And, that's not healthy either. But, I wouldn't feel like eating. And I didn't really have a strong nutritional foundation at the time. So you would just generally find me eating straight out of the half gallon of ice cream. And I would eat boxes of Teddy Grahams and all kinds of processed food. So really, I just didn't have any kind of nutritional foundation, or didn't really know what I was doing in college. So of course, stress affected me. So then when I came home for a period of time, just the natural kind of balance that came back to my life to an extent, living at home and kind of not being in school and things like that, I lost some weight. And then fast forward a few years, because I kind of got to the point where I maintained what I would consider a healthy weight for a long time. Fast forward a couple years, and then my mom says, we are going gluten-free, or she's going gluten-free. And I was like, what's that? And why are you doing it? And she explained to me that she was reading a book called Wheat Belly, and that she just wanted to try it. And so I was like, you're crazy. I love bread. I'm addicted to ice cream. I was totally a breadaholic. I was the person that would go to Bravo or wherever and be like, why are we even ordering dinner? Because I'm full on all the bread I just ate. So the concept of going gluten-free was not a good idea for me, but my mom wanted to try it. And so I read the book, and I remember being a couple chapters in and sitting at the pool in the back of my, at the time, boyfriend, now husband's house. And I said, honey, I think we need to try this. I don't think I'm ever going to eat this again now that I'm learning what it does to my body. So as supportive as my sweet husband is, when I had met him, he actually had gotten me a little bit more onto my health journey. So like I said, I had maintained a pretty healthy weight for a while, but then I met him and he was super into running, and he was into green smoothies. And when I say green smoothies, I mean like the ones that taste like grass, like the let's chew our food kind of green smoothies. That's what Patrick introduced me to. So I was like, okay. So I was trying to get a little healthier, and he was always very supportive of that. And he actually kind of introduced me to some of the things that I started with and got me on the exercise track. Then my mom wanted to go gluten-free, and I told him, okay, let's do this. So then he was supportive of that as well. And our first step, because, we're just learning, we didn't know we were just doing the best that we could while we were learning what this even meant. And so gluten-free for us at the time meant that we were switching regular Oreos, which I was also addicted to gluten-free Oreos. So another processed food. We didn't jump straight into the way we do now, which is the way we eat now, which is trying to eat as many whole foods as unprocessed as possible. We started with the step of, okay, there's this thing that we're reading about that we don't want to eat. So we're going to learn about what foods have that in it, and we're just going to transition into eating gluten-free foods, and we didn't really care if they were processed or not. That's just where we were at the time. So we started doing that, and there were so many changes that happened in my family immediately. So my husband lost his afternoon slump. My mom lost her brain fog. My sister lost 30 pounds. I lost my rosacea. I started jumping out of bed with energy in the morning, which was crazy for me. I've never been a morning person. Just all sorts of little different things. And if you noticed, everybody had a different response because, and we'll talk about this later. This isn't, I'm not trying to go super into gluten-free. I'm just telling you my history. But when you have that, everybody is affected by it differently. So if you ever eliminate it, you're going to probably experience a different withdrawal or a different benefit from it than your neighbor. So we'll talk about that later. Like I said, that's not the point of this video. So we started going gluten-free. And once I learned about it, I decided that this is a poison. I'm never going to put it in my body. So I've always, honestly, I've literally just stuck to that. Then I started reading about paleo. I can't remember what the name of the book was. I think it was Paleoista. And I started reading about it, and it just made sense. And it was talking about this paleo lifestyle, and it was about how foods affect your body and how you want to eat real whole foods. So I started researching that. And so then we started this transition from more processed foods, even if they were gluten-free, into more paleo eating, which really, if you boil it down, just means eating real foods. There's a bunch of different stuff we could go into. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to keep it simple. So we transition into eating as whole food, as healthy as we possibly can. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I've had a history of failing. I've had a history of dieting. I've had a history of gaining weight and losing weight and gaining weight and losing weight. And I have to say that one thing, well, two things, that we've really found a benefit with this way of eating and making it a lifestyle. And one is that we've all maintained our healthy weights way easier. I mean, tremendously. It's like a huge difference. Before where you go like this all the time, yo-yo diet, and you're, binging and you're starving. It doesn't really happen when you eat this way. You don't feel deprived, which is awesome. And your body kind of finds its own homeostasis, which is what you want for your body. You want to protect it. You want to treat it kindly. And when you do that, it finds its healthy balance, and it stays there. I mean, I fluctuate maybe like 3 pounds up and down, but it's not like this big 10 pound and 15 pound and 20 pound and 10, it's not like that anymore. And Patrick has been able to, with his back, not exercise as much in the past year, but maintain a very healthy weight and trim down because of the way he eats. So that's one benefit that we've seen from the way we eat. And then the other for me, which is huge, and this is something I want to dive into a little bit more throughout the challenge group, but is the mentality of it for me. Eating the way we eat has been a freeing experience. And I want to tell you why. In a diet mentality, you're constantly feeling restricted. And nobody wants that. That's why they fail. Everybody jumps in and says, I can never have a brownie again. It's bad for me. And then 2 days later, they're stuffing their face full of brownies because they have a craving for this food that they really want, and they've told themselves they can't have it. Therefore, they want it more, and it's a vicious cycle. There's the mentality side of it, and then there's the side of it that the ingredients that are in those things are literally addicting. And we can talk about that again later. That's not the point of this. But there's so many facets that go into that, and that's why we fail over and over and over and over again. So when I started eating paleo and when I started eating whole foods, it makes a huge difference in my mentality because I don't feel deprived. So I can have a brownie whenever I want a brownie. but I make it with different ingredients that don't affect my body the same way. They don't tell my body that it needs to store it as fat. It doesn't tell my body that it needs to spike my blood sugar. And I feel satiated. I feel happy that I had a brownie. It tastes just as good, but because of the ingredients it's made with, it has a completely different effect on the information that goes into my body, my cells, my body, completely different response. Does that make sense? So if any of you have any questions about what I'm talking about, just let me know. But my goal in this one isn't really to dive into the depths of nutrition yet. I want to start gently, but I did kind of want to give you a history of where I've come from, where I'm at, and why I like this way of eating. And I think the mentality portion of it is huge. I think that's why we fail so often, is because it's literally just a mental battle when we think we have to diet all the time and we're being super, 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 super strict, and nobody wants to live like that. So I am so happy that the quote unquote natural, the quote unquote real, whole, healthy way of eating kind of automatically gets rid of that mentality. There's no dieting, there's no restrictive mentality there. So that to me was liberating, and I hope that it is for you too. And we can learn about how to incorporate that a little bit more as we go along. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope that it's encouraging to you, because no matter where you are coming from, no matter where you are, no matter what diet you have tried and failed at, or tried and enjoyed and then stopped, and then, whatever, it doesn't matter what your history is. There is a way of eating that your body was created to do. There are foods that your body is created to eat. And when you learn how to incorporate that into your life, your weight kind of finds a homeostasis, and it's mentally just such a weight off your shoulders. So I hope that's encouraging to you.